We see the headlines every week: millions of user records leaked, critical infrastructure paralyzed, and billions in market value disappearing in an afternoon. The public narrative follows a predictable script. A sophisticated external hacker found a way through the perimeter, launching a high-tech siege that no one could have anticipated. Labeling these incidents as hacks provides a convenient shield for leadership. It allows the organization to focus on an invisible enemy rather than examining the structural weaknesses that allowed the door to be left unlocked. Catastrophic failures typically begin months before the first alarm sounds. They grow quietly within the routine, mundane tasks of daily operations. A user is granted excessive access for a temporary project that never ends. A software update is pushed during a holiday weekend to save time. These small internal oversights act as the primary drivers for systemic collapse. This internal stability relies on IT general controls, the specific protocols that govern how a company's systems are accessed, changed, and monitored. These controls function as the structural integrity of the entire enterprise. The decline often starts with a single request. An employee needs administrative privileges to fix a minor bug. The permissions are granted, the fix is made, but the wide-ranging access is never removed. When a real operational emergency arises, the intense pressure to rapidly restore service overrides established standard safety protocols. Management demands the change go live immediately, bypassing the staging environment and the peer review process. Manual intervention during these high-pressure moments is where errors multiply. Without automated gates to enforce testing, a single typo in a line of code can ripple across the entire network. These automated gates are preventive controls, impassable barriers preventing untested code from reaching the core system. When leadership prioritizes speed, they create a manual detour. The organization's primary defense mechanism is neutralized by its own creators. Once the untested change is live, the system begins to drift. Small errors in data processing start to accumulate, quietly registering as anomalies in the background logs. Detective controls act as the digital smoke detectors here. Their only job is to flag these anomalies so that humans can intervene before the drift becomes a total crash. However, monitoring logs and verifying backups are often treated as secondary administrative chores. When these tasks are ignored, the alerts go unread, and the window for a controlled shutdown closes. This creates a ghost control. On paper, the company appears compliant. The policy exists in a PDF on the server, but because no one is actually checking the logs, the control provides zero protection. Without a trail of logs or signed reviews, a control has no operational weight. If you cannot prove the check was performed, the safety mechanism does not exist in the eyes of a system failure. The chain reaction concludes. Excessive access allowed the error, the bypassed preventive gate let it in, and ignored detective alarms allowed it to spread. Ultimately, the entire system reaches its absolute breaking point. The resulting crash isn't a random stroke of bad luck. It is the predictable outcome of allowing internal vulnerabilities to stack on top of one another until the structure can no longer support itself. This total system collapse reveals that the technical breakdown was just a symptom. The real failure happened in the way the organization thinks about its own people and their shortcuts. Effective risk management requires shifting focus away from the server room and onto the executive suite. It is a leadership challenge to ensure that technical protocols are actually enforced when things get difficult. This requires asking 3 direct questions. First, where are the gaps in our current permissions? Second, where is our execution weak? Where are we documenting policies that we aren't actually following? And third, what risks have we identified but left unresolved because fixing them was inconvenient? A company-ending disaster is rarely the result of one massive mistake. It is the sum of 1,000 small compromises made in the name of efficiency. These compromises are fueled by blind trust, the assumption that because we know our colleagues, we don't need to verify access or audit changes. That trust is the specific vulnerability that turns a small error into a catastrophe. The framework of IT general controls exists to replace that trust with a system of verification. Leaders must acknowledge these internal threats now, or wait to witness the collapse they've already built.